Abraham Lincoln's government declared this man a pirate, and if captured, he could face death. The strange part was that he was a West Point graduate and an officer in the United States Army. His name was Earl Van Dorn, and you've probably never heard of him. When Mississippi seceded in 1861, Van Dorn resigned from the U.S. Army and joined the Confederacy. He was sent to Texas, where federal troops were stationed. Van Dorn moved aggressively to capture Union soldiers, military property, and ships. Among them was one of the most famous vessels from the opening days of the Civil War, the Star of the West. This was the same ship that had attempted to resupply Fort Sumter before the war officially began. Now Van Dorn had seized it for the Confederacy. But there was a problem. The United States did not recognize the Confederacy as an independent nation. That meant men operating against American vessels could be treated not as legitimate enemy combatants, but as pirates, and piracy was punishable by death. So Earl Van Dorn, a West Point graduate who had once fought for the United States, was now considered a pirate by the government he once served. But here's where Van Dorn's story gets even stranger, because before any of this happened, the Comanche had already tried to kill him. Van Dorn had fought in the Mexican-American War and later served on the dangerous Texas frontier. In 1858, he led U.S. cavalry against the Comanche near Wichita Village. During the fighting, Van Dorn was struck by arrows and so badly wounded that some believed he would not survive. He did. Then he went back. In 1859, Van Dorn led his men against the Comanche again at Crooked Creek, and he defeated them again. But becoming a Confederate pirate wasn't even what would make Van Dorn famous. Less than 2 years later, Ulysses S. Grant was driving through Mississippi toward one of the Confederacy's most important strongholds, Vicksburg. Grant had an enormous army. Van Dorn took thousands of Confederate cavalrymen and disappeared behind Union lines. They rode hard toward Grant's massive supply base at Holly Springs, Mississippi. At dawn, they struck. Van Dorn's cavalry overwhelmed the Union garrison and destroyed enormous quantities of supplies Grant desperately needed. Food, weapons, ammunition, military stores, gone. The raid forced Grant to abandon his overland advance toward Vicksburg. Van Dorn had stopped one of the Union's most important campaigns, and he wasn't finished. 3 months later, Van Dorn struck again. At Thompson Station, Tennessee, his cavalry helped surround a Union force and captured more than 1,000 soldiers. But Van Dorn's story would end just weeks later, not on a battlefield, but inside a Tennessee home, where he was shot and killed by a doctor who accused him of having an affair with his wife. The extraordinary life and controversial death of Earl Van Dorn is the story behind the new Civil War film, The Legend of Van Dorn, now available on Amazon Prime, and soon other streaming platforms.